Christmas business. Now, Alan Jordan from BookBuzz has joined me in studio, and we're going to have a look at the best-selling business titles this year. Morning, Alan.
Hi, Ian. How are you?
We've picked out 10, but we're going to look at the best 5 so far that you've picked out, and we've looked at over the past year, and I suppose the ones that everybody is talking about.
Yeah, and just a different variety, different selection for different people in HR, organisation development, modern management, and then a couple of blockbusters. So we'll kick straight off with one we did last week, which is what would Drucker do now? Now, Drucker, as we know, as you rightly said, the Simon Cowell of the modern management science. And even though he was writing long before computers, spreadsheets, iPads, he understood the basics of business better than most. And in Rick Wartzman's book, he kind of takes an approach of what would Google do and looks at modern issues to the prism of Drucker's teaching. So, pretty good little one just to put in the Christmas stocking, yeah?
Yeah, and that's one I suppose everybody, I mean, what he was writing is about 40, 50, 60 years ago at this stage, and still to hold true today, even for big companies like Google, which wouldn't have been, even conceived back then, is quite amazing. Well,
the amazing thing about Drucker too, I mean, he coined the phrase knowledge worker when Bill Gates was only 4. Texas Instruments were still waiting to put a patent down on integrated circuitry. So this guy had foresight.
Yeah, worthwhile reading. I suppose many people who would have done a business studies course, if there was a management module in it, would have had Drucker's theories in it.
Absolutely, so keep it up to date. Now, the next book, Employees First, Customer Seconds. Drucker would probably not have approved of Vineet Nair's Employees First, Customer Second, because he famously declared that if you don't have a customer, you don't have a business. But what Nair, as you know, is the CEO of HCL Technologies, Indian company, 80,000 employees worldwide. What he offers really is a tantalizing view of some of the fascinating things that can happen when you place the emphasis on your employees. So kind of pretty much every HR practitioner in Ireland should probably dig this out and have a look at it.
Yeah, and worthwhile considering that this is, I suppose, an Indian company that is setting up call centres, not in India but abroad, and they've got interesting techniques on how to motivate staff and also, I suppose, keep them as well.
It is, and probably one of the hardest things is strange, and like the guy is dead straight up. He said, look, this is not easy, this is difficult what we did, but what they did was with their executives and middle management, when they were doing their performance reviews, they got those executives to post it on the internet. So you're sitting down there saying, right, Alan, you didn't do quite well the last quarter, and really next quarter you need to really improve. You put it up there for everybody to see. So it really did create a whole thing of transparency. Now, they had to get it made a lot of people very worried. So it's a fascinating read.
Not something you'd see in the public sector here. I don't think they like completing their reviews.
Let's not start that now this early in the morning. Let's moving swiftly along. Next one up would be The Shallows by Nicholas Carr. Remember, this is the coined the phrase of pancake people. We're all getting a little bit wide and thin. There's no depth to us. So the premise here is, look, how the internet is changing the way we read, think and remember. So the question he poses is Google making us stupid? So like while we all enjoy the net and the availability and transparency, etc., the key thing he's putting forward is that, look, he warns that the net is remaking us in its own image. We're great at scanning and skimming, but we're losing our capacity for concentration, contemplation and reflection. And I suppose it cries back to something that would be dear to our hearts. It's a plea to return to the book. It's a slower form of learning, but you know what? We absorb it, we retain it, and it's just a better way to learn.
Yeah, we got a good bit of reaction into this book. I suppose, the evangelicals of the internet, the Googles out there, the Facebooks, they would just be in horror at this, at a title like this. But it's interesting when you think of, look, we've so much information. The screen in front of me can tell me almost anything I need to know, but do I remember it at 7:05?
No, and with Carr as well, it's not a polemic and it's not really beating up the net. He goes into lengths to say just the benefits as you've already outlined. It's just probably a word of caution, and it's just to say that, yeah, look, it's probably a little bit in moderation, and he's putting forward the premise saying, look, it is rewiring our neural networks, so be careful. Okay, next one we got is, I suppose, trying to get rid of bureaucracy. Martin Thomas is an interesting character in his book, Loose. And really, the premise is that the tightly structured corporate structures, as we're used to, will have to give way to looser structures. And famously quoted in the book is the CEO of Cisco, John Chambers, who says, look, I'm a command and control type of guy. I've got 60,000 employees. When I say turn left, turn right. But you know what? I'm going to have to change, because the employees coming into the business are changing. So the newer generations, your Generation Y, etc., they're entering into the workforce, and they don't respond well to tight controls. So the premise of this book is that Work demands that we ditch the older thinking and embrace the new loose perspective.
For corporations out there, particularly the larger ones, or perhaps older corporations, the idea of, the report chains of command and reporting lines are sacrosanct. They have always been that way. You have people in various steps on the ladder, and this is the way it's always been. But to adopt to something where it's even an open plan office, where people may, if you have an office, you keep the door open, it's just something that some companies just can't adapt to.
It's difficult, but they're all trying to change at different levels. And as Chambers would have discovered in his own organisation in Cisco, it was taking them 6 months to get an idea from the idea stage to actually into a blueprint. They changed that from 6 months to 6 weeks because they had to get rid of the bureaucracy.
Because the startup companies can just make a decision overnight.
Absolutely.
And get it
much
done.
More flexible availability, etc.
Now, I love the title of this book when Ron came in a couple of weeks ago with a porn for bankers. It sold me straight away.
Yeah, it did, you see. And he's an enterprise guy, a Dutch guy, and really, of course, look, it's tongue-in-cheek, and really it's asking the question, if you're setting up a bank, how would Apple do it? How would IKEA do it? So Hans Eysenck-Smeets, he has tremendous knowledge in retail and banking and looks at that from that type of business. But we want to end up on one last tome.
Yeah, this one I'm going to be going out and buying it in a few weeks because I can't wait to read it. I've seen the reviews and I've seen some of the extracts, and it is absolutely fantastic. Yeah,
it's a thumping good read, and if you carry it home, you'll be lucky if you don't injure yourself. There's about 600 pages in it, so it's not your normal conventional business book. It's all here, warts and all. It's Steve Jobs. Not everyone's a fan of the man or his style of management or of his products, but certainly no one can deny that this guy was responsible for several game-changing revolutions that continue to impact all our lives. So that'll probably be the top seller this Christmas.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. I saw some of the extracts in the Sunday Times, and when you look at his life, it goes through his early childhood. I mean, we played out some of the speech on the day he died here, that he gave a lecture to Stanford University, and his family gave him his birth parents actually didn't want him, but they wanted to make sure he was given to parents who had a college education, so he had the best start in life, and it turned out he didn't. He went to just a blue-collar working family.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's a great read. So much has been written about the guy since he died, so this kind of puts it all together. And Walter Isaacson. Yeah, Walter Isaacson. I mean, he had full access. So Jobs outside knew he was dying, got him in, so he got warts and all, access to his competitors, the people who hated his guts, the people who liked him. So yeah, it's fairly comprehensive.
Yeah, no, if you're looking for a book for somebody this year, this is the one. I think for any business or any person out there, this is the one to pick up.
One other mention, I don't really have in there, just because there were so many books on the financial crisis around the globe, and I was a little bit fed up turning. But Boomerang by Michael Lewis, who also did Lars Poker, probably worth a little put it in the side of the Christmas stocking. Yeah,
I've read some of the stuff in Vanity Fair that he's done on Greece and Ireland as well, and it's worthwhile listening. Alan Jordan from BookBuzz, thank you very much for coming in with those titles. They're on your website, what we've been looking at all.
Absolutely, yeah, and we'll post them again on yours as well, so people can have a look and get the full names and titles.
Bookbuzz.biz is the address, Alan.
That's it.
Thank you very much. Alan Jordan, thank you very much for coming in. Well, up next, we're going to have a look at